What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Leadoff Show. Get this page up real quick. All right. So I hope you guys had a good Wednesday. We had two slates. The first one was the one where it was Yankees versus A's. I ended up playing the Yankees, but I faded. My plan was to fade some of their chalkier pieces. So I faded Torres, LeMahieu, and Volpe. I just thought the spot was too good for the A's, or for the Yankees against the A's. So I really wanted to get Yankees. And it was looking good till about the sixth inning. LeMahieu hit a homer, and then next time around, Volpe hit a grand slam. So that kind of buried me right there. But bounced back a little bit on the night slate. Ended up going with I had Montgomery, who got me negative, which hurt, but had Bayo against the Braves, who had a solid outing, and then kind of took some pieces from the Padres Twins, which at least got me in the cash line. So hope you had a better day than I did. I basically broke even, but we'll take those from time to time. Today we have 2 3-game slates. Let's pull it up. The first slate is at 11:35 Central, 12:35 Eastern, and then the regular slate, or the main slate, at the same time, 6:05 Central, 7:05 Eastern. So we can get started here. There's construction next door, so I'm sure at some point Apollo's going to lose his mind barking, but we'll just go as long as we can. All right, we can start with the weather report. I think these are all 3 of the early games. Ross says it's not really much worry about in Cincinnati. Any rain will be clear by first pitch, between Padres and Twins. White Sox, Royals, worst of the rain is around noon, tapers off. Lingering to light showers, may have a late start, may play through some showers. So yeah, we might have to check back on that one. That one is Clevenger versus Singer. So I have some interest on Singer. His price is getting really, really low. That would definitely be something that we check back into. All right, we can go and get started. I'm really just gonna, obviously we can go through these teams, but I'm kind of gonna go through my strategy too, just for 3-game slates. The contest is usually smaller. The ownership usually condenses pretty heavily, so it doesn't take much to get different, but I think there's plenty of ways to do it, and I usually like these. I think you don't have to figure out too much to have a good night. One or two pivots here, and you can have a good night. So going to get started. I'll kind of go over where I think the chalk is too. So the first game is Mets Reds. It's 6.16 total for the Mets, 4.34 total for the Reds. Kodai Senga, 10.3K versus a opener situation for the Reds, so that's why the Mets total so high. I think Senga's your top pitcher on the slate, projection wise and ownership wise. And the Reds just lineup is pretty rough. But of all the ballparks, we have Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Kansas City. This would be the spot for hitters. So as it stands right now, I think this is a potential pivot spot. We can pull up the Reds hitters real quick against Senga. Yeah, so really high walk rates. I think Senga could get out of hand pretty quick, but this is a high strikeout total. So for good reason, he's your top pitcher on the slate. But this ballpark, especially during the day, things can shoot out here. So for now, we'll proceed with planning to play Senga, but maybe we can find a pivot later. I think Darvish is probably projects a little, maybe a little better for cheaper. But right now, I think I'd like getting off Senga. Hopefully, he carries some ownership. But we'll just have to see. I'm not playing this Cincinnati situation. I'm not really going to mess with an opener or a long reliever, so especially against the Mets, so it's not worth it. All right, the Mets hitters are definitely the top stack of the day. Probably not really close, especially in this ballpark against this reliever opener situation. So I think for good reason, I would have a lot of interest here. I'm trying to say if anyone stands out. Yeah, we don't really have stats on these guys, so it really doesn't matter because I think they might. They're both righties at least, so the numbers won't change like with the lefty coming in. But maybe try to get different if you play the Mets. Well, I think Perez is most likely the catcher. He's not showing up. like IQ, but yeah, Michael Perez. So maybe play him. Alvarez, I wouldn't mind him if he's in there. I think just kind of mix and match. I mean, everyone's gonna have Alonso, so maybe if you can find a first baseman somewhere else and you know don't play Alonso or something, that's risky, but that's a way to be different with the Mets. So for good reason, the Mets are the top team of the day. Over on the side with the Reds, like we just mentioned, Singo probably carries some pretty good ownership, so I don't mind going to the Reds. Like I said too, this ballpark can kind of go crazy, especially during the day. So do have some interest in the Reds. I think if I take kind of more of a lower owned stack, I think they should be low owned against Singa. So I think I have a lot of interest here in the Reds. I mean, they stink, but you know you just got to hope that Singa gets wild and the Reds can put up some runs here on this. You know, like I said, a small slate. It doesn't take much to put you at the top. So Singa is certainly susceptible. Look at that, 4 walks in 3 straight outings. So the more I look at it, I have less interest in Singa and certainly more interest in the Reds. And I will say on a slate like this, you don't have to play 50, like use all your salary. If you have a good team with Darvish and Singer and the Reds and I don't know, Tatis, Machado, Soto, something like that, and it still comes out to 48,500, just roll with it. There's no reason to like forfeit your 5-man stack just to spend all your salary. I would you know stick with your stack, whether it's a 5-3 or a 4-4 or something like that, and just go from there. I do prefer to stack even more on these smaller slates. I mean, we only have 6 teams, so if we can kind of parlay the 2 teams that score 5+ runs, we're in a good spot. So I won't really take you know one-offs here or there if I can help it. Maybe a 5-2-1, and definitely not taking a hitter against my pitcher. So all right, so that being said, obviously just kind of recap, I like both offenses. Hopefully the Reds are lower owned against Singa. I prefer the Reds side over playing Singa. Just really ballpark is the main reason. Okay, so moving on, Padres Twins, 4.11 total for the Padres, 3.89 total for the Twins. Yu Darvish 9.9K, Bailey Ober 8.1K or 8.1K. Darvish has been really good this year. I would hope that would continue. The Twins are certainly susceptible to strikeouts, but I mean, my best night ever was picking on Darvish, so he kind of falls in the same boat as Singo, where he is susceptible to getting blown up. So far this year, I'd say he's less likely to, just the way he's performed this year. I would have more interest in Darvish. I mean, he's probably 50 to 60% owned though, in a lot of places. Yeah, pretty high strikeout rate overall. Couple of low bats in there, but I'm not really too worried about Farmer per se. Doman's actually better versus lefties, higher strikeout total versus lefties, so hopefully we see a few more lefties in there. So definitely have interest in Darvish. Twins do have some firepower though, but think of all the guys on the slate, most likely to get you 20 is probably Darvish. But Ober on the other side, he's been really good this year. That price is kind of steep though, 8.1K. That does worry me. I mean, like I said, Singer's on the slate. His price is going way down. He's 6.1K. But I think the just past performance of Ober and then the way we've seen these Padres play, I mean, Lopez just carved them up last night for like 8Ks or something. So I think Ober is certainly in play. Low strikeout top of the order. Bottom of the order does carry a lot of strikeouts. So let's see. Yeah, Ober low strikeout for lefties though. See a pretty good mix. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 righties. So might be a decent matchup for him. If there's rain in Kansas City, we might have to go like Darvish Ober. If Singer's kind of off the table, worries me a little bit. I would prefer to take 2 pitchers in opposite games just to try to get 2 wins, but not really a requirement. I'm not forcing it. I'm seeing if Ober's done better this year. Yeah, he's kind of overperformed a little bit, or he's improved a little bit. So he's certainly in play. I think. Yeah, we did just see Lopez go this him up. It's risky, but it should be lower on than Singer. So I think if you go, maybe even pairing 2 pitchers in the same game is slightly lower on too. So I guess as it stands, I'd probably go in preference would be Darvish, Singer, Ober, but Ober's definitely in consideration. All right, the Padres. I mean, I think we all know that they're good hitters, but they really have underperformed this year. So that hopefully we keep people off of them, but I'm not sure in this spot that. I mean, the Mets are still the highest projected offense for good reasons. I think the Padres might be probably the second owned, I would think. But with that being said, I'm just trying to look at these prices. I don't think price is going to be an issue on this slate. We can always pair them up with like the Reds or something. If I do play the Padres, I would definitely try to have Nola in there. I really like Grisham. He's got power speed combo. Kim can be really good. So I think just feel free to mix and match any of the Padres that you can if you do go there. I think I would just really try to have Nola in there just to get that extra, fill that catcher spot in your stack. All right, Twins on the other side. Like I said, Darvish likely 50 to 60% ownership. He certainly is susceptible to getting beat. I like more of the one-off here. I think I would avoid the full stack. I think if Darvish is like 60% owned and you don't play him, you're already like different enough that just taking like maybe just like Kirilloff, Polanco or something like that in the middle of the order would be different enough. We can see if anyone really stands out. Yeah, I love Polanco really versus anybody. So I think if I don't play Darvish, I might just take like one or two or just some type of mini stack from the Twins and go from there. All right, last game on this first slate, White Sox Royals, 4.5 total for both teams. Clevenger 6.6K, Singer 6.1K. We have a little bit of rain right now. We'll proceed like they late start and it's not affected by it. Clevenger, I probably like him least, or at least lower than Singer in this spot. Singer has been so bad, but we just know what we saw some life from him last year, so I don't expect this to continue. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he has been terrible, but hopefully that kind of sways ownership, I guess would be my opinion. This bottom half of the White Sox lineup is pretty bad. The Royals obviously are a more dangerous offense. I lean Singer over Clevenger. Let's see if anything really jumps out. I think Clevenger was 19.1 K rate, 8.1 strikeout rate, and of course, the Rangers, they're the Royals top of the order. Pretty dominant. Singer still has good, probably factoring in last year. See how bad this year's been. Yeah, still pretty good strikeout rate. Walk rate's not too bad. So hopefully, it's just a matter of time before things kind of turn around for him. I think I would go Singer over Clevenger, but the ownership will likely follow. So I don't know if I think I would play over Clevenger really if it came down to it. All right, both these offenses. I mean, everything I just said about these pitchers, I was very unconfident in everything I said. So I think both these offenses are in play. Singer has certainly gotten lit up a few times this year. I would probably have the White Sox on like the tier as the Padres. I think the Mets are the top owned, top projected, top owned. The Padres, White Sox are probably in that second tier, probably even the Royals as well, as like this outside the Mets, but still a good offense. With the Reds, it's kind of the Reds and Twins is kind of like the high leverage spots, I guess is how I'd classify these 6 teams. With all that being said, I'd probably like the White Sox at least for the full stack. I mean, they're they're bottom. Like if I stack the Padres, I feel comfortable playing Kim and Grisham. I like those guys, but if I'm full stacking the White Sox, I really don't want to play Andrews or Hazley or Grandal's been terrible for a couple of years now. I think maybe just a couple one-offs for the White Sox. If you don't play Singer, we can look at splits real quick. Wind kind of favors righties, but he's been pretty bad versus lefties. They don't have any power lefties at all. So maybe just Luis Robert or Andrew Vaughn, I guess, if I took anyone from the White Sox, but probably on the full stack there. Like I said, I think I would just prefer to go Mets, Padres, Royals, or maybe even the Reds over the White Sox. On the Royals side, you all know I will always play the Royals. Price is creeping up a little bit on Pasquantino's 4.1K, but should be an issue on the slate, especially if you play Singer. You should be able to afford really whatever you want. Saw the bottom of this order go crazy last night with Prado and Massey having big games. Garcia's been really good lately. I think the Royals make for a good stack. They're probably versus Clevenger. I don't know, right there. I think ownership will be fine on them. But I would not mind playing them at all, especially if we get kind of like a late start or people are somewhat worried about the weather. That might kind of scare some people off. People might just want to go, the comfortable way with one of these games that they know is playing. And sometimes the latest start, kind of people don't really like playing it just because the lineups hadn't come out yet when they're building. So definitely have some interest in the Royals, but that's probably no surprise to you guys. Let's see real quick. Clevenger splits. If we can see that it jumps out righties or lefties. High versus both, but a little bit worse versus lefties. So I wouldn't mind playing anyone really on the Royal side. All right, hope that's a pretty good recap. Like I said, on this slate, I think so. Looking at it now, it's probably going to go like Darvish, Singer, Mets. I feel like that's probably the chalky build after looking at it. So if you just pivot off one of those things, I think you're okay. If you went like Ober, Singer, Mets with a couple Twins, I think that's pretty good. If you think Darvish is going to get knocked around a little bit, if you go, Darvish, Clevenger, Mets with a couple Reds, or you know what I mean. I think that's that's all you really have to do on these 3-game slates. There's going to be 50% of teams are going to have probably Darvish, one of these two pitchers, and then a 5-stack Mets. So, really maybe if you could go Darvish, Singer, 5-stack the Royals, and 3 Mets, or 5-stack the Reds with 3 Mets. Something like that I think is different enough. So just play around with it. Like I said, ownership usually condenses on these 3-game slates. So just one good leverage spot can really make a difference. All right, let's jump ahead to the night slate. We have 3 more games. Change this over here. No weather concerns in this slate. I think New York, Arizona's the Dome, and Oakland. So no weather here. Looks like it's pretty good hitting weather in New York though. Get this pulled up so we can see. All right. So like I said, no weather. Real quick, we can kind of look at the pitchers. Rasmussen, Herman, Cobb, Henry, Eovaldi, Medina. First glance, I feel like it's probably Eovaldi, Cobb, most likely where the ownership will be on the pitchers. We can kind of walk through it. So, all right, this Reds Yankees game, it's definitely the best hitting weather. 59 degrees in Oakland. The roof might be open in Arizona, I guess. That'd be a pretty good spot. But 4.42 total for the Rays, 4.08 total for the Yankees. Drew Rasmussen, 9.2K. Herman, 8.3K. Rasmussen's been really good, and he probably is very unowned in this spot. And we've certainly seen this Yankees lineup roll out some really low teams, or some really poor lower half of the order. So I don't mind this spot for Rasmussen. I think he'll go underowned. I mean, the Yankees just came off the series versus the A's where they scored 10 runs a game. So maybe people are a little higher on the Yankees than they necessarily should be. So I do like this spot for Rasmussen. He has arguably the most upside on this slate. We've seen him time and time again put up 20-plus points. So I do like this spot. The weather is a little bit of a concern. Good hitting weather in New York. Of course, the short porch and right. I think Rasmussen makes for a good pivot, probably off Eovaldi, who will carry 80% ownership against Oakland. Herman on the other side, 8.3K. Probably projects better than Rasmussen. Or probably, I don't know, within maybe like a point difference. He might carry some little more ownership just because of his price. We've seen him all over the board and everywhere from 30 points down to 10. Who knows if he's going to use his sticky stuff again or not. I think I'd probably prefer Rasmussen over Herman. Just kind of an ownership play. I think Herman will probably carry a little bit more just with his price. I wouldn't mind Herman, but the Rays offense, top to bottom, kind of scares me a little bit more. All right, looking at the Rays, everything I just said about Herman, this is a great hitting spot. I feel like with this weather, taking the away team on a 3-game slate kind of is always nice. I don't mind this spot. I don't think they'll be the highest on. That probably goes to the Rangers or the Giants on the slate. So I think either of these offenses are kind of in play. These pitchers are good enough that it might kind of scare people off. So I really don't mind going here, especially with this weather. We can pull up, see if anything stands out split-wise. There's a little bit of a pinch hit risk with Tampa Bay. But versus righty, whoever they keep in their start should probably stay. Yeah, look at Franco, Brandon Lau, Harold Ramirez, Luke Raley's boom or bust, high strikeout, but might jack a homer. So really like the Rays tonight. I think that's a spot we can go against Herman. He's susceptible to kind of a big outing. I feel more comfortable saying Herman blows up than Rasmussen blows up. So I do like the Rays. On the Yankees side, probably more of a mini stack for me. Prefer them more versus lefties. They do have a lot of righties in there, and then Rizzo's good versus lefties. So prefer them versus righty or versus a lefty, just with all the righties they have in the order. So I think I'm probably out on the Yankees. Rasmussen, like we said, he's been really good this year. So I think I'd lean Rays over Yankees, but certainly wouldn't mind a couple pieces. Bader's been tearing up lefties, but getting a tough righty here in the spot. Good Rays pins. Maybe just like Bowers. If he's in there, I could see that. But like I said, a little bit down on the Yankees compared to the Rays, and I think the Yankees might carry a little more ownership than they necessarily deserve, just because of coming off that hot series versus Oakland. But I mean, anyone can score against Oakland, so that's just part of it. All right, next game we got Giants Diamondbacks. 5.04 total for the Giants, 4.46 for the Diamondbacks. Alex Cobb 8.7K versus Tommy Henry 5.5K. This game's in Arizona, and they've been during the week keeping the roof open. That probably keeps Cobb's ownership at bay. I think him and Herman are in that 25 to 40% range, but that's probably fair. Cobb's a little more expensive than Herman, so hopefully Herman carries more ownership, because I think I'd rather just play Cobb in this spot. We can shut. He's a pretty big ground ball pitcher, I believe. Not exactly the highest pay upside, but he should be able to go pretty deep in this game. He has a really long leash. Just a matter of him being efficient enough, to not have 100 pitches in 5 innings or something like that. But we're super low or super high ground ball rate, so the hot weather doesn't concern me. The ball obviously will fly pretty well in Arizona, but if he can keep the ball on the ground, he should be able to keep these guys at bay. So I really like Cobb. I think I'd prefer him over Herman, and probably over Rasmussen, just straight up. Maybe even like a Rasmussen Cobb combination would be pretty good. Tommy Henry on the other side. Lefties have torched San Francisco all year, but this offense is starting to get healthy with Haniger in there. He's been bad, but I would expect him to kind of return to form. Davis has been terrible versus lefties. I would expect him to return to form. So no interest in Henry in this spot. He should be completely unowned. If you want to go there, more power to you, but I'm not playing him here in this spot. He's actually worse versus lefties. I didn't expect that to kind of normalize out a little bit though, but he's just bad against both sides. So out on Henry here in this spot. Looking at the Giants, they're probably top projected stack of the day. They have the highest total, 5.04. Yeah, that was the highest total. So I think this is probably the top stack of the day versus a lefty. There is some pinch hit risk though. I expect Flores, Lamont Wade would probably come in for him at some point. Wisely, I could see like Jock, if he's actually playing outfield, I could see Jock Peterson pinch hitting for him at some point. I always get a little nervous stacking the Giants just because of that. Guys that are safe from pinch hit would be like Estrada, Haniger, Davis. VR might get pinched hit for her. So Estrada, Haniger, Davis, and Fordo, if he's already in there versus lefty, he's safe. Schmidt, they might pinch hit Crawford, but they just called this guy up, so I don't know why they would already be kind of platooning him, just letting him get his feet wet. So maybe go there. So the Giants, yeah, like I said, Giants should be highest on just with this team total. I think them and the Rangers would probably be about even. So if you do play the Giants, maybe just focus those guys that you don't think will get pinched hit. Just because, if they get to Henry, he's going to come out after 3 innings or something. And at that point, we really want our guys to stay in there the rest of the game. So have some interest in the Giants, but there's some is some caution there with pinch hit risk. Diamondbacks on the other side, don't really love the stack here against Cobb. I mean, like we just said, he's a ground ball pitcher, so they would really just have to find some holes and get some steals, I think, to make this stack worth it. These prices are crazy too. Look at this top of the order, like top 4 batters almost all 5K compared to the other side where you have kind of guys all over the place. So I don't love the spot here for the Diamondbacks. If Cobb has a bad fantasy performance, he probably still goes 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 Ks or something like that. And if that's the case, the Diamondbacks, you didn't need the Diamondbacks on this slate. So I don't love the spot for the Diamondbacks. If we can see if there's anyone that's like a fly ball hitter that might be able to get to him. Yeah, Walker, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, really low ISO numbers for Cobb. So I don't love it really anywhere for these guys. You could take, they steal so much that you can take a chance like Carroll or something that he can get on and swipe 3 bags or something. Outside of that, I'm probably out on the Diamondbacks. All right, going to the Rangers A's. 5.02 total for the Rangers, 3.48 for the A's. Nathan Eovaldi, 9.5K versus Luis Medina, 5.7K. We just saw the A's get off that series versus the Yankees where they actually hit the ball pretty well. The only concern is I do prefer them versus a lefty though. Although Noda and Blade have been really good lately. Rooker's good versus everyone. So the Eovaldi I think will probably be about 70% owned here in this spot, just because there's no one really else to take. He probably projects far and away above everyone else. So he doesn't come at his risk though, and we've seen Eovaldi before in the past give up 4 home runs in 3 innings and come out. So been much better this year. Let's see the strikeouts. Yeah, sitting around 5 to 8 strikeouts a game with 4 straight quality starts. So for good reason, Eovaldi will be the top on pitcher. If you end up on a chalky stack like San Francisco or Texas, maybe just play Rasmussen instead of Eovaldi. Maybe try to get both of those guys. That might be different, just paying up for 2 9K pitchers. But of all the guys that are get 25, likely to get 25 plus on this slate, Eovaldi is definitely the top. On the other side, Luis Medina, that price is definitely interesting. The only other guy near him is Tommy Henry, so Medina would be a little bit better than that. We've seen the Rangers strike out like crazy the last few games versus right-handed pitching. Although those pitchers were Gilbert, Kirby, and Castillo, a little bit different than Luis Medina. But Medina might carry a little bit of ownership just because of his price. Look at these strikeout rates for Texas. So I think there is a chance. Let's see. Let's see his splits. Higher strikeouts versus righties, but they absolutely pound him. So it doesn't come without its risk. Certainly playing Medina. If you end up with, maybe like Giants, maybe you play like Eovaldi, Giants, and you just need salary. Maybe I would say Medina over Henry, but that's going to be a hold your breath and just hope it works out. So I would not advise it. I think between Eovaldi, Cobb, Rasmussen, and Herman, we have 4 good enough pitchers to pick 2 of that we don't need to go to Medina. Hitters in this game, we just talked about the high strikeout totals for Texas, but they certainly have plenty of power. Medina was terrible versus righties that we just showed. He's bad versus both sides, but even worse versus righties. So I like obviously Simeon, Garcia, and Jung. I could see really any one of those guys here in the spot. Hopefully San Francisco carries more ownership. Then we can get Texas fairly low owned, or lower owned, I guess. But I expect them to be the second highest on stack in the slate. So I think some combination of Texas is always good. And we're just going to keep stacking against this A's bullpen as long as we can. This bullpen is historically bad. We saw Mueller get beat up first inning yesterday, but kind of settled down and pitched 4 or 5 good innings, and then the bullpen still gave up, I think, 7 in the 6th or something like that against the Yankees yesterday. So this attacking this A's bullpen will always be in play. So I do like the Rangers, and obviously you can get a good catcher, which is always good. So on the flip side, Oakland will be your highest leverage stack of the day against the high owned pitcher. And I love the spot for Oakland. We've seen them all year kind of overperform hitting wise. I mean, their pitching is the problem. The hitters are fine. So I might try to avoid a full stack here, just because, I mean, the likelihood of them putting up like 8 runs or so is probably low, but I can see them getting 4 or so versus Eovaldi. I think some combination of the top 4 hitters would be where I'd go. Maybe even Jace Peterson on the bottom if you need a third baseman, but Ruiz has such high stolen base upside. Noda, Rooker, and Blade have been really good. So I think some combination, of a couple A's bats would make you really different. I think Eovaldi in this spot will be about 70% on, like I said. So I do like that. I think if you go you could probably go like Rasmussen, Cobb, Giants, and a couple A's. I think that might be pretty different. Or even if you went, just kind of full stack this game. It is a little bit cooler, but the wind is blowing out, so it might be a slight bump to hitters, or almost neutral maybe with those two things. So I definitely like the A's here in this spot. All right, just kind of recapping. I think the ownership will kind of probably be Eovaldi, and then maybe Herman and Cobb tied for second owned, with Rasmussen right behind them. Rasmussen makes for a good pivot just because Eovaldi will be so owned. But Eovaldi will be on for good reason. He's best pitcher on the slate in the best spot versus clearly the worst offense or the worst team in baseball. I do like the spot. I think I prefer Cobb over Herman, probably, and then maybe Rasmussen over Herman just as a ownership play. Offense wise, I think top team is the Giants. Close behind them would be the Rangers. If you go Giants, I'd probably try to maybe get off Eovaldi or have a kind of a weird secondary stack to make that team different. But Giants certainly, like I said, come with a risk with a pinch hitter, so just be wary of that. I do like both offenses in this game. These pitchers are decent, or above average, at least in Rasmussen's case. But I think the Rays have a chance, to kind of get to Herman. So I wouldn't mind a few pieces off the Rays here in the spot, and hopefully they're kind of under the radar a little bit. All right, hope that helped. Like I said, we got 11:35 Central lock for the early slate, 6:05 lock for the main slate. So get your contest reserved. Just because they're 3-game slates doesn't mean we can't make money. Sometimes these are easier because only a slight pivot here or there, and you can really catapult yourself to the top. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll have a full slate tomorrow, so I'm hoping to get another one out. We can break down like 12 or 13 games that we'll have on Friday night. So good luck today, and I'll see you at the top.